Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we've got the pleasure of watching Enrai playing in my favourite vehicle in the game out of hundreds of tanks, the Tier 7 British medium tank, the Comet. So just why is the Tier 7 British medium tank my favourite vehicle? And you're obviously a new subscriber around here if you haven't, because I've featured this many times in previous videos, and so I'm going to just graze over it in minor detail. It's pretty much the fact that this 77mm that this tank gets, while it doesn't have the best penetration with 140 alpha damage and 148mm of penetration, the rate of fire is fantastic, which allows you to out-DPM most opponents. This vehicle has higher DPM than quite a few Tier 8 medium tanks, and much more DPM than a vehicle such as the T20, which is equal tier to the Comet. When you combine this with a reasonably good amount of mobility and my favorite feature of the tank, which is 12 degrees of gun depression, it gives me the flexibility that I need to be able to outplay opponents. I feel like I've got a chance in a one-on-one situation as long as I can keep my gun singing and hopefully lock them down or find myself on a ridgeline. And because of that DPM, I feel like I can just shoot my way out of very tricky situations as well when I'm outnumbered and when I'm outgunned. And we're going to see some of that later on in this replay. Now Enrai definitely isn't a nice matchup here with only Tier 7 tanks on the enemy team. But doesn't look like his team is doing very well. They've already lost a third of their vehicles. Well, make that 6 out of 15 of their vehicles, including a Tiger 1. Gosh, that Tiger, you don't really want to be losing that tank. Your top tier heavies dropping in the first couple minutes of the game before you've even had a chance to really get a kill. That's pretty awkward. Enrai is about to secure his first, taking down the KV-85, that tier 6 Soviet heavy tank. And now he comes out around the corner, and oh my word, there's a hell of a lot of tanks there. Puts one into the Su-85 and then proceeds to shoot at a Tiger on the enemy team. Here we can see that the Tiger's quite a fat old girl, leaving most of its hull armor around the corner that allows Enrai to shoot that big, flat, juicy corner of the Tiger. So hard to side-scrape on the Tiger. It's not even really possible to side-scrape on that tank for that kind of a reason. The fact that you've got this big box of armor and the corners of it here and here are just so easy to shoot. You don't even need super high penetration. 148mm of penetration on the Comet to be able to challenge that frontal armor of the Tiger. Even though the frontal armor of the Tiger, I believe, is 100mm, just because it's so darn flat, it makes it very awkward to be able to use. So, Enrai is not excel. Well, we can see why his Tiger died there. Holy moly, lost his head going up onto the hill. Whoops. I'm surprised the turret didn't really roll all the way down. That would have been hilarious, wouldn't it? Enrai has now decided that he doesn't really want to fight it out with those heavy tanks up on the hill. There's a KV-3. There's a Tiger. They've got artillery support. It's a dangerous position. And I think he's doubling back to try to be able to save the self-propelled gun, the GW Panther, on his team against this Tier 5 turreted American tank destroyer, the T-67. Now, he shuts it down with 2 high explosive rounds. I've just noticed how many high explosive rounds Enrai takes in this tank. That's, I'm not sure. I think you're taking a little too many rounds. I can't imagine that you're really going to need 12, but I can't really be one to judge. As Enrai starts to slam shots into this Su-122-244, he puts his first 2 shots in, and now he loads APCR rounds. And that's one of the ways to compensate for the terrible penetration on the standard rounds on this tank of 148. The APCR rounds go up to 208mm of penetration, which allows him to take out the angled frontal armor of the Su-122-244 as it's moving. And oh my word, that is painful. Great shot into the looks on the move there, but oh my gosh, 818 damage taken. Must have been from the N12, I expect, on the enemy team. That's pretty brutal. I expect that you guys, looking at the matchup here and the fact that he is alone with a Panzerfahr H versus 9 opponents, that he might have needed that. Nah, you know what? I'd quite like to have that 18 health, well, the 818 health back. And when that happens to me in a game, I do get a little frustrated in the Comet. But it's only because I feel like I honestly have a chance in any situation, no matter how many tanks there are left on the enemy team. When you lose 2/3 of your hit points like that to a single shell, well, it's going to be a little awkward. So it looks like Enray's got a friend. This Panzerfehr H has decided to go and support him. And because this is not a regular game mode, and even if it was a regular game mode, then I guess his cap circle would be here and the enemies would pour down off the hill into the cap circle. Because it's an encounter, that means they're not going to be able to cap nearly as quickly. Enray has decided to fall back into this position to be able to, I guess, use a hold down location and also the bush that you have here to catch his enemies unaware. Let's just see what that Panzerfehr H is doing. It's just chilling next to him. He's got a friend now. You've got a friend backing you up. So I guess this isn't really a 1 versus 9. This is a 2 versus 9. Although the Panzerfehr H misses his shot. But look at this rate of fire on the Comet. I just love this. Bish, bash, bosh. Oh my word, that one didn't penetrate. Awkward. At least the 4th one went in. Great. Job done. M12 taken out. I expect that that was the guy that hit him so hard earlier, so he must have felt justice and revenge with that shot. So it looks like Enray was deciding to pull back and go towards the south, and then decides that now he's spotted the Tiger, who's on very low health. He's only on 14%, but he's still going to have to hit him twice. Oh no, looks like the Panzerfehr did something, so that means that he's only going to have to shoot him once now. Oh gosh, it bounces off the turret, but the turret armor on the Tiger is pretty good. Now Enray is deciding to load some APCR rounds, and he finds himself in a 1 versus 8 situation. Pops up, puts a shot into the Firefly. And in this kind of a situation, the turret armor on the Comet is not too bad at all. Now he continues to punish that tier 5 British medium tank as he advances. He manages to ricochet a shot from the Firefly, but can't ricochet the high explosive round from that Su-85, doing 177 damage. That's a big old hit into the Comet. Wouldn't want to be losing that health very often. The Firefly is going to try and squish him. Slides over the top of his tank, only doing 65 damage. Bounces off him, and it allows Enray to finish him off. That Firefly isn't probably feeling too clever about himself now. Enray had did 100% of the health that tier 6 British medium tank. Finishes off the tier 7 German heavy. And bounces off the KV-85. No, 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 no. Oh, yes, good. That rate of fire allows him to make up for the missed shot and finish off that tank. Now the KV-85, since it was nerfed from being the KV-1S at tier 6, has got terrible gun depression, so he had more than enough time to put in the extra shot. Now Enray is up to 9 kills and has halved the amount of tanks on the enemy team. But the death toast of the PZF Fear C decides to waltz around. And if that tank is using the top gun, that 88mm, that means that he is very reliably going to be able to go into Enray's tank. Even though it's a tier 5 tank destroyer, he has roughly about 200mm of penetration and more than enough alpha damage to be able to take out the Comet, so Enray has to be careful here. He also has to be concerned about the fact that we don't know where the Churchill is, and it's right there, oh my word! Enray decides now to load an APCR round rather than the high explosive round that he was going to use to go through the death toaster. Puts 1 in. Looks like you're going to have to shoot him 2 more times though, mate. There's 2. Can he find the 3rd? The death toaster's coming around the corner. Get forwards. Brilliant play there, managing to evade the attack from the death toaster. And now he reloads his high explosive rounds. Maybe he knows a thing or two about the Comet that I don't. And that he predicted he was going to have to fight this very lightly armored German tank destroyer. Beautiful shot right into the top, doing 189 damage and possibly taking out the gun too, or maybe a module. But the PZSFL has got amazing gun elevation. Even though the tank doesn't look like it, it can shoot its gun up to the sky and hit him right now. He's got to be careful. Beautiful shot. Taking him out with the 3rd high explosive round that hit his tank. Great stuff there. Enray has now turned a 1 versus 8 into a 1 versus 2. But unfortunately for him, the KV-3 on the enemy team still has a good slug of its hit points left. Apparently it has 868 hit points left. That means he's going to have to shoot him a lot of times to be able to take him out. I'm very impressed with the way that Enray has used his ammunition this game. Great use of both his AP, his APCR, and his high explosive rounds. Pretty much used them flawlessly, I'd say. Being a Comet driver and knowing what kind of penetration he would need to give himself the best chance without going OTT in most situations. And pulling off 3,781 damage and 11 kills and still having so many rounds left Really shows the marksmanship of Enray here. Puts his first shot into the KV-3, and the KV-3 doesn't spot him. He puts his second one at him using auto-aim. Now he goes into manual aim. Misses the shot. The KV-3 spots him. Another one bounces off the armor. That's pretty awkward. I don't really feel like you put in enough rounds considering the opportunity that you had there. And remember that Enray is just a whisker away from death here with 90 hit points remaining. If the KV-3 has any sense, he'll be loading a high explosive round, and he has to hit anywhere near, pretty much, the Comet to be able to take it out. And remove our hero from this fantastic opportunity that he has to pick up a 1 versus 8 Kolobanov's medal. That is something that players dream of in World of Tanks. Looks like that Enray has a very decent crew, or he's using coated optics here, along with the tea and pudding that he's using in his tank, which gives him awesome view range. That enables him to outspot the KV-3, get behind these bushes, and shoot at him without even having a tiny little risk of being spotted by the KV-3. Now check these shots out right through the window. One. Slam dunk! Yes, that's great. He only had one more APCR round remaining. Takes out the Tier 7 Soviet heavy tank. What a result there. Oh my word. 12 kills in a Comet. I've never been able to do this. I was super excited as this game was going through for the first time. Now all he has to do is try and take out an M41 HMC. And everyone knows that artillery at the end of the game, especially on Malinovka, have got more than enough hiding spots to sneak around in. And it's very likely that that M41 will probably be able to see Enray before he manages to spot him. But luckily, Enray has Sixth Sense, that commander perk that enables you to know when you've been spotted a few seconds after it happens. And so by using that, you can kind of figure out what kind of a position an artillery might be hiding in at the end of the game. If you didn't have that, then for all Enray might know is that he was hiding in a bush right here and waiting for a draw. And unless he goes within 50 meters of the bush, he's not going to be able to spot the artillery piece. Of course, if he has good enough camo rating and the boost works. The boost was not a lie, indeed. So Enray makes a bit of a mistake here, or possibly he was trying to do something which I'll talk about in a second. Remember, on an encounter, it takes twice as long to be able to cap. In a standard game mode, you need 100 seconds to cap. In an encounter game mode, I believe you need 200 seconds to cap, which is going to be 3 minutes and 20 seconds, right? Well, he's only got 2 minutes and 10 seconds, so he would be sitting there for a minute past the end of the game and still not win it. The artillery fires. Okay, where did that shot hit? Just fired blind into the cap circle. Doesn't really give us an indication of where the artillery might be. By going into the cap circle, maybe Enray was hoping that he could bait the artillery into coming out into the open. But I think the artillery is probably going to be playing for a draw, especially considering that he just fired and he's likely to be on a reload. Enray decides to leave the cap circle, realizing that he won't be able to cap, and tries to find out where the remaining artillery is. This is where you're just praying your Sixth Sense goes off. There we go. There it is. He has to be here. He's got a chance. He's got 1 minute and 24 seconds left. Will he be able to find this dastardly Tier 5 American self-propelled gun? There he is. First shot in. Second shot misses. Oh my word, the artillery shell whizzes over his head and Enray manages to take down this game. 1 versus 8, 13 kills. Fantastic result. I was absolutely thrilled for you that you took this one down, man. Fantastic. What a round of World of Tanks. Enray, thank you so much for showcasing the full capabilities of the Comet, keeping so calm under pressure, 1 versus 8, doing exactly what you needed to do, pretty much flawlessly, and totally carrying your team through this game, picking up 13 out of 15 kills, securing the last one in the artillery, and even though you took that massive artillery shell, it's just amazing that you managed to get through this one. So let's just take a very quick look at the post-game stats. So Enray picked up a bunch of medals that everyone wants to get. The Pools medal for killing between 10 and 13 enemies in a game. And this was 1 away from the Rosanai Heroes medal. What a shame. Unsurprisingly, a high caliber medal, and the one that everyone wants, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against 5 enemy opponents. And what a Kolobanov's this was, considering it was 8 To achieve this, Enray had to pull off 4,731 damage in this game. Way above everyone apart from this Jagdpanther 2 had a decent result as well. Of the 50 shots he fired, 44 hit and 40 of those penned. His armor didn't really have too much of a chance to work this game considering the absolute bastard of an artillery shell that hit him early on, taking away most of his hit points. But he also did a little bit of spotting for his team with 847 assistance damage. And so Enray, thank you so much for sending me this replay. As this is my favorite tank in the game, I do have a soft spot for Comet games, and this was a fantastic achievement. Congratulations. And if you guys enjoyed this video as well, please consider giving it a like down below. It really helps the channel out. And if this video has sparked your interest in the Tier 7 British medium tank, then click through right up here to see the full extent of its 12 degrees of gun depression and why I like to call it the mountain goat. Or use that more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen to see a plethora of awesome Comet replays. And also, just a heads up, as you may know, the last 2 years I've run a charity fundraising event for special effect and cancer research. I'm always absolutely baffled at the amount of money that we raise as a community. Over the last 2 years it's been $50,000 for these awesome causes. I'm proud to be doing exactly the same thing this year, and I hope all of you will join me on the 17th of December, i.e. Thursday of this week, where I'm going to be live streaming for 12 hours straight from midday until midnight. And also, we might have some returning guests that you guys might remember. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.